Thank you for bearing with us through the technical difficulties. We're good to go. Hopefully you can hear us now. But yeah, welcome to this episode of the Beastcast. My name is Abby the Beast. Today I'm joined by Baxter, aka the Marvel God himself, the Aussie Marvel God, and Sketch, Mr. Vampire Slayer. How you doing, guys?
Doing well, thanks.
Yeah, I'm good, man. What's up?
What's up? Yeah, finally we got good audio. Yeah, just a little intro for the people who might not know who you guys are. Baxter, starting with yourself.
So I joined into the scene back in 2011, playing primarily Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and then later on switched to King of Fighters 13. Then basically after that, I just kept playing any fighting game that pretty much came out. Just trying to find, the new Marvel game or the new King of Fighters, the one that I really loved playing. And currently I'm playing Dragon Ball FighterZ, which I'm the Oceanic champion for since Battle Arena Melbourne this year. So that's me.
Nice. All right, and yourself, Sketch?
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from New York, but I didn't start the scene until Ohio, where I went to university. And I got started with Super Street Fighter 4, and then I got into Marvel 3, and I kind of dabble in everything, but I guess old school 2D is my focus, so like Alpha 2 and Vampire Savior, and DBZ now, so yeah, I'm kind of all over the place.
Explain Vampire Savior for the guys who don't know it, because it is kind of a niche game.
Yeah, so Vampire Savior is also known as Darkstalkers 3. It's just a vampire name for it. It's a Japanese name for it. And people play it primarily in the US and Japan. Combo Breaker just got like 111 entrants, so it's doing quite well. And Japan always has events going on, kind of like Earthstrike, so it's like they have their singles, their 3v3, and their 5v5 team events. So, yeah, it's a big scene, but only in those places primarily.
Nice. Yeah, it's always good to see the niche games get love. Like, I'm sure, like, I tuned into Combo Break and I literally saw every game in existence on the lineup. So that's good. It makes the people happy. So yeah, so we're not fresh off the whims of BAM, but yeah, it's been a while, not too long. How did you both go?
Sketchy can start us off. Sketchy start off.
Yeah, you gotta start off at the bottom and then work your way up, right?
That's it. Start from the bottom. Now we hear. That's how the song goes.
Yeah. So I didn't do as well as I wanted. I got 9th, which was unfortunate, but I lost some good players, I'd say.
In Dragon Ball,
one of them was Dragon Ball. That was kind of like my main focus. So yeah.
Who did you lose to? I can't remember actually.
So in winners, I lost to Tosh. They were really good matches actually. And then losers to make top 8 was Ando. Fucking Kid Buu. Sorry, can I swear on this? Is that okay?
Yeah, dude, go. we are not censored in any means. Go for your life.
Alright, yeah, fuck Kid Buu.
Yeah, we're actually trying to break the fuck counter, so go for your life.
Alright, good shit.
That should be good then. Damn, my boy Ando. Oh, that's right. That was so sick, that match, actually. Yeah, that was actually a good song. So BAM, I only entered Dragon Ball FighterZ at BAM, but I played in the singles and doubles tournament. My doubles partner was Falco from Darksided, and we managed to get first place. I didn't lose a single game in doubles. Then I managed to make top 8 for Dragon Ball singles, still not losing a match. But then when I got to top 8, I lost to Tosh in the game, which really annoyed me. Because I was like, oh damn it. I said I was going to lose the game, and then literally the first match I played in top 8, I lost the game. I was like, god damn it. But then I managed to get up to winners finals by beating Tosh. Lost to Daiwo. Absolutely got bodied, I think, from memory, in winners finals. And then made it back to grand finals after beating Ando. And then ended up winning the tournament with Yamcha, which was fucking sick. So I was really happy with that.
What I want to ask both of you, because Dragon Ball had the interesting case of, like, I don't want to step on Tassie FighterCon because it was kind of premiered there. But like the big showcase of Dragon Ball Z was always going to be a BAM. And there was like it was this like first major showing, so there was a lot of anticipation, like of it was at a few locals, but what was your mindset as into like who was going to do well, who were the threats to look out for, because you had slight inklings about okay, these are the players to look out for, but this is the first major. So was there any concern on either of yours minds as regards to tough competition?
Yeah, well, okay, there's a set few, I'd say. But the thing is, so Baxter and Falco were on that list, right?
Yeah.
And I had never seen either of these guys play. I know they're good. They got the goods, right? I know they got the goods, but I had never seen any of them play, right? So I was a little bit dubious because everyone's like, "Oh, we have the gods of DBZ. Yeah, they're gonna take everything good." And I was like, "Hold up, I gotta be the judge of that for myself, right?" So I knew they were good, but I just didn't know how good, right? Dilo I knew because of YSB. I remember you were the same when I was, Abby, and
yeah.
Dilo he's very solid.
Yeah, I had the fortunate experience of playing Dilo online a lot leading up to YSB, so like I knew what.
So you knew.
Yes, I already knew.
Yeah, nice. And then Salty Pete, I played that guy online a bunch, and at first he wrecked my shit, man. Like it was bad. So I knew he was gonna put in some work. And then as far as Melbourne goes, I mean, I don't know. The thing is, with our Randbats, it fluctuated all the time, so no one was really on the top.
I'm just going to put this out there, like no shade on Melbourne, but I feel like we were the weaker state coming into it.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But yeah. But yeah,
so those are my picks.
Yeah. How about yourself, Baxter?
Going into it, I was pretty confident because the only person that I'd versed that gave me like a contest was Falco. And I even then I had the slight edge on him, so it was 60-40 in my favor. So I hadn't lost to anyone yet. I knew that Salty Pete was really confident coming into it, but I hadn't seen him play. I actually caught one of his streams like a couple of days before BAM, I remember. And pretty much all I saw was just Bardock doing Bardock things. And I was like, cool, he's a write-off. Like, all I have to do is kill Bardock. And then I've won. And then the other people was Tosh. I was really interested to verse Tosh, actually.
Oh, Tosh as well, yeah.
I was hearing a lot of things about him from New Zealand. Like, he won their first big tournament, if I can remember correctly.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was actually a really sick grand finals as well. Like, he made a massive, massive comeback. Which was fucking awesome. Like, I remember getting really hyped for it as well. So I was really interested to play him in some games. The only other person that I was worried about would be Ando from Queensland. And the reason why is because in a tournament set, I'm not very confident versing his style of play. It's very front heavy, very oppressive, which I feel in a best of three format can really just annihilate me before I can make adjustments to beat him. Dilo I didn't think of whatsoever coming into the tournament. The reason why was because we had only played online a couple of times before, but our connection was so bad. And Falco would tell me Dilo's really good, you gotta be careful, his team Gohan's really strong. And I thought, it's not that big of a worry. I thought it was the same thing as Salty Pete, whereas as soon as I kill Team Gohan, I win. And looking back at the matches, that was true, but I underestimated how solid he was as a player with his Goku Vegeta. Which is why I think I got bodied initially, and then later on I gave him a bit more respect in the grand final set. So there was a lot of people to look out for, but I really agree with what you said. I think the reason why BAM was so good was it was the first time for Australia and New Zealand, Oceanic region, to have this big tournament for Dragon Ball to showcase the scene.
Yeah, I love the fact that just personally, it's always good to have internationals down, but I love how Dragon Ball is almost free for that, so we could clearly establish who the front runners were. within the Oceanic
I
region.
agree.
Yeah, and I loved it that New Zealand came out for that. That was tops. That was great. Yeah. So what are you guys' thoughts? Like, the game's been out for a while. What are your current thoughts on the game as it is now? Like, positives and negatives.
Mm.
Do you want me to start, Sketch, or do you want to go?
Go for it. Go for it. I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. At the moment, I feel like the game's in a very, very good spot. They could make very minor tweaks, and the game, I feel, would be almost perfect. The only thing that I don't like seeing at the moment is well, it's kind of weird. It's like the meta shifts based off who is the best player in the world at the moment. So if you notice, like Goichi before, he was playing like Cell Vegeta, right? And that was like the most prominent shell. Every tournament you go to around the world, Cell Vegeta was like majority of top 8s.
Yeah.
And now, if you look at it, since Sonic Fox has been more dominating within the tournament scene, you actually see most people picking up Gotenks. So there's a number of people who've been putting Gotenks Anchor. So it's kind of weird. I don't know really what the tiers look like at the moment. I know for a fact that Cell and Kid Buu are number 1 and number 2.
Do you think it's more of a case, like, sorry to interrupt, of follow the leader? Because, like, early on, Sonic Fox had a lot of success with his unique team that barely anyone played. But, yeah.
I do honestly think that's the case. I think what people are realizing is that the people that are putting in time with their team specifically are finding out like really, really strong shells within the game. So like you sell Kid Buu shell, your Bardock Vegeta shell, and now we're seeing it come to form, especially with the Gotenks Kid Buu shell. Like even myself, that's actually my new team is Gotenks Kid Buu. So I think it is very much so following the leader at the moment to pick up what works. But yeah, I really like the game, and I think if they made a very slight balance adjustment to Cell and Kid Buu, just their damage, I think then that would be perfect.
So it's in a good position. You would just tweak some certain characters.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's fair. Any buffs to any characters?
I think it's very difficult to buff characters at the moment because with a game that's like this one, like a versus title where you have assists, like for instance, right, you see Majin Buu as a character. Now he's deemed as quite low tier within the game as a whole, but at CEO, Allione is going, and Allione is probably the best Majin Buu player in the world at the moment. And there's not too much footage of him, but I think once he starts making more of an indent on the scene, Majin Buu will like move up the tiers, and then you'll start seeing once again that meta shift. So I think at the moment we don't need to buff any characters whatsoever, because I feel like we just need time to allow for those tiers to like readjust.
You want to chime in, Sketch? Thoughts on the game?
Yeah, I mostly agree. I think it's a good game. I think in terms of the game, it's very good. Outside of the game, it's good too. It's getting the support with the World Tour and stuff, and just people are showing up to events. So that's good. I think small little tweaks like, what is it? I think Super Dash, the fact it should have cross-up protection. I think it's silly if it kind of, because there's no control over it, right? It randomly happens. It's just, I don't know, I think it's a silly mechanic.
Super Dash.
Yeah. Not in as an entire concept. I'm saying the fact that it can cross up randomly. I think it should have cross up protection. Is basically what I think.
Yeah.
So it's like little tweaks here and there. But overall, I think the game is really good.
Yeah.
I think Bardock's kind of silly, but don't get me started on that.
Well, why not? Let's get started on that, because like I think like I'm coming from. I think the case with a lot of Dragon Ball players, like I'm not professing to be good at the game. I'm clearly very average, but I just grind it out. But I do have my own opinion coming from like another because I come from a Tekken background. Marvel, Baxter comes from a Marvel background. You come from your own various games, and like it's kind of funny to see how everyone transitions into the game and how they pick it up and get used to it. So I find that aspect very interesting, and like just everyone's viewpoints regarding like because I have no anime background, and like I don't know whether to liken the game to anime or to Marvel. How did you feel like people adapt to the game based on what background they have in fighting games?
I don't know. That's a good question. I feel like anime people pick the game up a lot easier than say Street Fighter players, and they approach the game differently. How they deal with certain situations. But I think that's a good question because we see people from all different backgrounds coming to play this game, and to an extent, you have to play the game a certain way to win, right? So everyone kind of has to adapt to that style, but. I don't know.
Do you think the game can be played in one way or various?
I think if you want to win, it should be played in one way. I mean, you can play it however you want.
Yeah.
I mean, look, no, sorry, go ahead.
I think what I've noticed is that with people from an anime back, it's weird. You can kind of see like trends with how people play the game, like based off their background. I don't know. It's kind of hard to articulate what I'm thinking of. But with people with more of an anime background, they will seem to steer towards more of a like mix-up oriented team, whereas people from a different style of game or background will go more towards the neutral oriented characters. Like I think, for instance, like a really niche character, even though I think she's like very top tier is 21 in the game.
I agree.
The reason why I think she's niche and she's not played that much is because she doesn't have like dirty shit.
Yeah.
But her neutral is like one of the best in the game, if not the best. And then she does have like insane damage as well. The only problem I think that people are scared to do at the moment is you have to build a team around her. And I think that people don't want to do that because they want to pick the, Gotenks, Kid Boos, or the Cell Vegetas. I don't know. It's kind of hard to articulate, but yeah, I definitely agree that different people from different backgrounds carry the same trends of playstyle through.
Yeah.
However, I think the most optimal way to play is a character that has severely strong neutral followed up by like a really good lockdown assist, either being 16 or Kid Buu, and then having a versatile mix up after it. So I don't know, it's very hard to articulate at the moment.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, we're seeing like within the game's lifespan a lot of changes within the meta. I mean, early on, like it was just a one opinion of one top player that you were like Sonic Fox articulated that, why play around one character? Like play 3-point characters. And I know how much of that worked for him just because he was Sonic Fox, or how much of it was true, but you do see a lot of play styles. It's very interesting. So did you guys check out I'm assuming you did the Summon of Power?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was sick.
Yeah, what were your thoughts on that regarding the guys, like who you expected to win and who might not have performed up to to what you thought?
Well, I mean, the whole thing was an upset, right? Like no one thought Cocaine God was gonna win, let alone beat all three of like these super top players. Like it was a hell of a run.
Yeah, I think he was just playing out of his mind on the day. And it just, I don't know what happened, but he was just making all the right reads on the day, and everything just worked out for him. I definitely would not have put money on Cocaine God at all. Like, even coming into the tournament, he wasn't having a good run. So it was, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it could be a combination of both. Do you think the character is slept on Do you think he or Piccolo is slept on?
Uh,
I don't know if slept on's the right term. I
Well,
think people
no-
know he's good. I think the people who play him downplay the fucking shit out of it.
Mhm.
Like, severely downplay him.
So it's more a combination of the character being not as bad as people think, and him just having a good run.
Yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with the character. Like, if you put him up against, like, for instance, right, the biggest weakness he has is not having, like, a key blast in neutral to, like, spam or to, like, zone people out and control the neutral. But his jumping light, I actually think, is one of the best normals, like, best air normals in the game.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest strategy you see people do is they will do, like, intentionally block a super dash in the air and mash light afterwards as Piccolo.
Mm-hmm.
And if the opponent does like anything whatsoever, the light will counter hit them and you'll get a confirm. And then if you super dash at them and they block you in the air, you can mash light and they can't do anything to counter poke. Like that button is insanely good, and it also beats super dashes at clean as well if you react in time.
His air normals.
Yeah, it's air light,
Yeah,
specifically the air light.
Mm.
So I don't know. I think the character is perfectly fine. I think is he the best character in the game? Definitely not. But when you pair him up with Soul Vegeta, I mean, it's perfectly fine.
His theme specifically, Hook and God. Do you think that's the most like Piccolo's one of those characters that you could argue you have to shape around? Do you think you could shape that team around even more so Piccolo, or it's just a combination of having Cell there as like the fall-on character?
it's all of those things. I mean, he had a good team. Like it wasn't just Piccolo that was kind of putting in the work. It was everyone. He had some sick Vegeta comebacks as well. So I don't know. I think he was just on point. Like Baxter said, he was running hot that day.
Yeah, I think more so like not so much that he's got the Cell Vegeta to back up Piccolo. I think the thing is that his Cell Vegeta is literally Doom Virgil, right? So he has Doom Virgil there. No matter what the third character is in the game, Doom Virgil can always win. So it doesn't matter whether you're going to lose that third character or not. I think the team, I think Vegeta and Cell work with Piccolo because he's got the cross-up elbow into the Cell assist and he can combo off of it. So it works well, and there's definitely some synergy there. But I think he could literally pick any character and he would have done probably the same because it was just the way he was playing on the day.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll see. CEO is around the corner, so it'll be interesting to see placements in that tournament.
That's the first World Tour stop, isn't it?
Yeah. Speaking of World Tour, I don't know how many people know, but I don't think an exact venue has been announced, but like Australia has been announced on that World Tour, so that's good for us. That's good.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, dude, I'm so happy that Australia's in it. Although, in saying that, I know exactly what's going to happen. It's going to be like, yeah, this is the Australian event where it's going to be, the World Tour for Dragon Ball. We're going to look at the registered players and it's going to be like, Goichi, Dogra, Fenrich. Like, oh, shit.
Well, considering what's on the line, like, I haven't read too much on the details of, like, what you win at each, tournament. And, like, if it's automatic qualification or whatnot. But you're going to have to expect that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it would be also like we've now had our national event, right, for our Oceanic region. So I think the next event being an international is really good to gauge, our skill level versus the world now. Because personally, when I watch streams, I watch people who get top 8, and I'm like, man, I swear I could beat them. Like I really know I could beat them. So now it's just the matter of putting myself actually in that position and seeing whether my skills marry up or not.
All right. You heard it here first. Baxter thinks he can take out Goichi.
I'll do it. I will do it.
I believe.
I will do it. And if I do it, look, the infamous thing that happened, right? Back at Shadowloo Showdown 2013, I think it was. It was one at the horse racing track.
Yeah,
I can't remember. Yeah. That one. And it was I had my match to qualify for top 8 the next day. And just before my match, it was up against Clockwork as well.
Mhm.
And just before my match, I went into the bathroom and I saw Moose King. And Moose King's like, "Oh, so who you got up next?" I'm like, "Clockwork." And he goes, "Oh, don't worry, you'll win." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure." And then he goes, "Look, if you win, I'll buy you a beer. How about that?" And I'm like, "Sweet, sounds good."
Wow.
As soon as
what
I
high
won,
stakes.
I jumped off the stage.
Mm.
I ran up to him. I'm like, "I want that fucking beer." He popped it off. He loved it. It was sick. So, it's been done before, my friend. All right. All you have to say is the magic words.
All right, dude. How about if you buy I'll buy you a ticket back to Brisbane if you beat him and he comes down.
Oh, I like it. I like it.
Alright, sounds good to me.
I'll up the stakes a bit. I think a beer is like.
I was gonna offer a beer, but shit.
You have no idea. Last time I was just offered a simple beer.
Mhm.
I don't even like beer.
Mhm.
My powers now have just gone through the roof.
No, I'm a man of my word. If the stars align and whatever event this tour is gonna be at in Australia, and he so happens to come down, and I'll make this easy. And if you don't have to eliminate, just beat him in one game in tournament. Next major is on me.
Wait, one game? Not even the set?
No, the set.
Oh, I was gonna say, I'm like, damn.
The set.
That actually hurt my feelings a little bit. I'm like, come on, I'm better than that. Like, give me some.
Yeah, the set.
Yeah, no, that sounds good.
Good motivation. But yeah. Like we said, it's good. It's good Australia's getting that. Like, it's good to see. Like, not even just term for like Dragon Balls. Like, a lot of stuff is popping off for Australia. FGC wise, esports wise, it's good to see. Like, even with like Street Fighter side of things, Gfinity and what they're doing. Like, hopefully that works out for some of the other games in the future.
Yeah, man. I think, like, because you know how we had the Cyber Game event earlier on in the year, back in, I think it was April, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure they're still going to be running another couple of events throughout the year.
Yeah.
So I think the next one will probably be around August sometime,
Mm-hmm.
and then another one towards the later stages of the year, maybe November.
Mm-hmm.
And when I spoke to them last time, they said that they wanted to incorporate Tekken and Dragon Ball. So, there's definitely going to be some more love for other fighting games. And I think Tekken and Dragon Ball specifically start needing, those are the next two games, I think, that are going to start getting some love within our scene. So, be interesting to see.
Good to hear. Like, the more events, the better.
I agree. That's the thing I was talking to New Zealanders about, because they have events all the time. Like, they run a lot of events. But in Australia, it seems like there's really not that many when you think about it, right?
Yeah. Apart from, like, you got your set majors, which is OHN, you got BAM. Like, considering how big Australia is, like, we actually don't have that many annual events. I mean, you got your small. Oh, you've got what am I? Why, dude? I'm having a brain fart. I'm missing Southern SXE only because I haven't been there. So yeah, that's on the cards as well. But you got your up and comers, like, not many people know about it, but Tassie FighterCon are having its majors. They had their third one this past March or February, if I remember correctly. But like, the majors are coming up, so it's good to see. But yeah, even there may not be that many majors, but there are a lot of events happening, which is good to see. Like, here and there, like, just randomly, like, the last packs, that Injustice event. It's on a completely different game, but just to see those events happening and the interest still coming about is good to see. It just keeps the FGC.
Yeah, I agree, man.
It keeps the FGC relevant on the whole esports side of things. So.
And speaking of the Tassie one, I'd love to make that next year. I really want to start making that to like more of the other events.
I recommend
New Zealand and Tassie.
Yeah, New Zealand's on my radar. Yeah. So did you want to speaking of New Zealand, was it what was the event you went to? Sketch CC. I know the abbreviation for it, but not the full.
So it's Crush Counter Capital,
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, in Wellington, New Zealand.
and it was you and Burnout that went to that.
Yeah. Yeah, we were the representatives.
Mm-hmm. How, what part of New Zealand is that in?
Wellington.
Wellington. Is that, and that's one of how many majors?
Shush, they have quite a
I think
few.
4, right? I think they have 4 throughout the year.
That's
No,
actually
they have more.
4 majors.
They've Garden Light, the Crush Counter Capital. They have the Southern Cross one. Southern Cross one.
Well, I guess they have different names for some of them because Garden of Might used to be, I think it was Red Zone Rumble, and I think they're going to do that again next year.
Yeah.
Then they had First Blood, which is the one I went to, the first one I went to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They have War. There's actually one coming up called House of M, where it's just a Marvel event, and it's kind of in the style of the Summit of Power, where they're just renting out like a house, and it's Marvel the entire weekend. So Marvel 1, 2, 3, and Infinite.
Whoa, that's pretty sick, actually.
Yeah.
That's pretty powerful.
From what I keep reading online, like New Zealand have great love for Marvel, always backing that. So it's always good to see.
Actually, Baxter, I think you'd have a good time over there because I was talking to one of the guys, and he's like, yeah, like he might have played you online. His name's Lennox or Seb. But the New Zealand guys, they really like Marvel 3, and it's a good event, or it should be a good event.
Rings a bell. Can't remember, but yeah, I don't know, man. Like Marvel Infinite's a game. It had so much promise. It was like, I don't know. It's like, okay, you know what Marvel Infinite was? It's like having a kid who is like, has all the promise in the world. Then he gets to high school and like falls in with the wrong crowd. And just as a parent, like you just can't do anything but cry.
You just shrug your shoulders, give up.
It's like, you know what? You're gone, exiled from the family. And I think that's what I had to do. So.
Well, what's your honest opinion of Marvel Baxter? Granted, it is just the opinion of just one Marvel player, because there are Marvel free players that like the game, and there are some that don't. And like, there's some people back the game like it's Marvel, but some are just like you can't deny the falling off the game had since its release.
Yeah. My biggest gripe with the game, I had 2 biggest gripes with games. One was the thing that I really did not like about the game was that Super Into Tag, I think, was the most stupid mechanic ever implemented into the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like $1 million with Dante Tag, and I'm going to do like 4 different mix-ups. Like, there's no thought behind it whatsoever. And I hated that. Like, the biggest thing that I love about Marvel was how intricate the neutral was. And then in Infinite, I feel like the neutral was taken down to a very basic level. And then it's more like, how do I get out of this mix-up scenario? Which is what people thought Marvel 3 was all about. And then they've really just brought it home with Infinite. And my second biggest gripe was the fact that they literally put in Space Zone, which forces you to block mix-ups no matter what. Like, I was just like, come on, you're not even trying anymore, Capcom. Like, you just... But in saying that, if you like Marvel Infinite, power to you, like, you play it, it's just not the game for me. Like, that's all.
Okay. But yeah, it just seems like a game that the majority of the community just isn't a fan of, which is sad. I've got love for all fighting games, and to see like a fighting game not do well is just sad.
Well, it didn't help they didn't really get much support on Capcom's side of things.
Yeah.
Like, imagine if Street Fighter V, they left it like Season 1, and Capcom didn't give the game any support. No one would be playing the game. Like, if Capcom stuck with it and worked with it, I mean, I think it could have been something really good.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think it all boils down to like Capcom's invested in Street Fighter, so like Marvel not doing too well is just like, oh well, we still got Street Fighter, so which is a shame, but yeah, it just hinders the Marvel community.
Yeah, I think there was a fundamental problem with Capcom not supporting the game as well. So I don't know. Marvel Infinite is just something that I'm very glad that Dragon Ball came out afterwards, because I feel like if it wasn't for Dragon Ball, I probably wouldn't be in the community at the moment. As it was honestly like it was almost the final nail in the coffin for me.
Retirement number 2.
Exactly.
No, I'm in the same position actually. If DBZ wasn't around, I'd probably find some other community. I don't know. I'd start knitting or something.
What were you playing before DBZ came about? Sketch.
What was I playing? Shit.
Because you said when you said when we started the podcast that you played Street Fighter 4 Ultra 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, then with the release of 5, I don't think I've ever seen you play that, or if not for long.
Yeah, I stopped playing. I think BAM 9, so like a year and change ago. So, what was I playing? I guess I was playing Marvel for a little bit, and then just the old games. Other than that, just kind of it.
So you guys were kind of both in the same boat.
Yeah, man. Marvel Infinite was a big kill to our motivation, I think. And then we were like, we were all in on Dragon Ball, and thank fuck it turned out. Like, honestly, that game, and it was crazy as well because I remember playing it like we were in Japan actually when the game was like being released or was released, and I didn't even know like any combos or anything. Like I was just like fucking around with my mates who I was in Japan with at the time, like Ando and them. And dude, like as soon as I started playing the game, I'm like, this has got something going for it. Like I'd really see this game being a good game. And then just as soon as I got home and actually put some proper time in full lab, I was just like, yeah, this is the game that I'm coming back with. I came back pretty hard.
Good to hear. Dragon Ball is the savior of the FGC. It's the year of anime. So I want to touch a little bit more on Dragon Balls. Specifically, we touched out on character, slightly on tier list, but more so I want to focus on like Sketch. For example, you play one of those unique teams. Like you've got a Ginyu, for example. I want to know why the Ginyu, and like, do you think you've obviously shown that he's like viable competitively. You came second at CC2, and you do very well at the locals. What's the story behind Ginyu and how you feel about it?
Okay, so the way he plays, it reminds me of two characters, kind of Faust and Teddy from Persona, the fighting game.
Yeah,
because more so Teddy, because he throws items in a pattern. And it's kind of like Ginyu's pattern, and I think that's just a cool concept. Like I play characters based on whether I like them or whether I think they're interesting in playstyle. And Ginyu's definitely, I think he's the most interesting character in that game. He plays just his own style. He's very unique. No other character plays like him, and that's just a draw. And he's hype. Holy shit, is that character hype? My god. One character comebacks with Ginyu? Fuck me dead. That's what I want every round.
Nice.
Honestly, Sketch, you just do it every time, dude. I literally said when I was watching the stream with Danny, I was sitting there and I'm like, I looked at the life bars and Blackout had it wasn't Blackout. It was who's the dude who came third?
Wasn't it Faded, or am I missing something?
It was Reap Your Face.
Yeah.
Yeah. And dude, it was so funny. He had all three characters, but like 2 of them were on 50% life, and I'm like, I'm telling you that he's gonna fucking do it, and he is gonna pop off so hard. And literally, as soon as you won, all we hear, like off in the distance, it was like this, dude. It was like, I'm so fucking nice! And I just lost it, dude. We were just so happy. And it was just the classic sketch. And that's why you're never allowed to drop Ginyu, no matter what. You are that character.
Gotenks and Ginyu will always be on my team. Gotenks is my favorite DBZ character, and Ginyu's too much fun, so they will always be there.
That's why you're my boy, Sketch. Gotenks
you know it.
Look, Gotenks for life.
Oh, I like how you noticed that. That's fucking
nice. I didn't even see that.
That's something. Good shit.
Yeah. And actually, perfect segue, because since BAM, I played Yamcha, right? And I played I played 21 Goku Yamcha in the grand finals.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually a team I only picked up to help out Danny, who was struggling with the game a little bit. So I picked up his team, except I picked SSJ Goku instead of Goku Black, who he plays. And since coming away from BAM, I noticed that if I wanted to play Yamcha, I would have to drop 21. And that's something I'm not going to do, because 21 is the most fun character I feel in the game for me, personally. So at the moment, I'm playing a team of my two favorite characters that are in the game, Gotenks and Kid Buu, with 21 spliced in the middle. The problem is that they say that 21 has no synergy with either of those characters.
Mm-hmm.
However, I'm finding some shit. So we'll soon find out whether the team works. That team, I feel like, is going to probably be the team that I'm going to stick with until next major. And we'll see how it goes from there.
That's good. Like, one of the things I admire, specifically like in Sketch's department, is like the character loyalty for like the underrepresented characters. Because like just a personal preference is like, I come from a game where character diversity is very large, and like that's just one thing I like seeing in fighting games. Like, whatever it is, it's no knock on any game in particular. That like, if there's no character variety, it can get kind of stale to watch.
For sure.
And you there were moments within Dragon Balls during the past couple of months you kind of saw that, and it's just like, this game's fun. Like, even those top tiers, they're fun to watch, they're fun to see, but I hope character diversity becomes more of a thing just for the sake of the game. And it's just like that case of how much of these other, like, I believe, like, you see teams online, for example, like those obscure teams of, like, there's this guy I was playing the other night. I think his name's Raptor, or
yeah, that dude's really good.
Yeah.
He's very, very good.
Plays another unique team. Like, he's got a hit on that. No one's playing hit anymore. And it's just like, but he's taken the time and invested. So it's just, I think it's more of a case of how much people are willing to work with their maybe underrepresented teams, as opposed to the easy cop-out.
Yeah, well, I think there's an advantage in using those underused characters, because then no one really knows what to do with them, like how to punish them properly, so it works out in the end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, like, the biggest example of that, I feel, was Superboy from Japan, who plays Ginyu.
Yeah,
he came second, right? At the Japanese tournament. I can't remember the name of the tournament. But he came second to Goichi. I think it was KBO, yeah. And he came second.
Whatever.
And he's a really good player, but he was Ginyuing the shit out of people. And it was sick. And then you saw it at the Summit of Power with Kazunoko, and how he was making Yamcha comebacks, and just because people didn't know the character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it even happened within our scene, because without taking away credit, I think that's what helped Dialo so much with his performance, was Team Gohan and the unfamiliarity with that character.
Mm-hmm.
And then me personally with Yamcha in the grand finals, right, was that unfamiliarity for him. So I think at the moment people can get away with it. It's just hard to tell whether you'll be able to play them later on in the game's life, once those, I guess, quote-unquote gimmicks wear off, because your characters start to get figured out. I don't know. It's weird.
Do you think it's more of a case, sorry to interrupt, a case of like, one thing that was harped on, like even till now, is the lack of variety when it comes to assists. Is that something you think you'd like to see, or? or not?
Yes, but within reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard because the biggest thing that people like kind of request for is the ability to choose your assists, or similar to Skullgirls.
Yep.
Where you get to pick the special move, where you get to do the input. It's one input, but you get to do the input, and that's your assist.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a sick option for the game. But there's one angle at the moment within the game that's not covered at all by any assist, and that's the up forward vertical. And if you start to cover that option, I feel that will instantly become the best assist in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you think about it, it covers super dash, it covers IADs, it covers up check in the corner, like a lot of things that are very strong at the moment in the game. I feel like if there's one assist that does it, it's going to become the assist. So I don't know. It's yes and no for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, Sketch. What do you think? I don't know.
No, I mean, I actually kind of like. At first, I'm in the position where I'm like, no, I don't like having one assist and just let us choose kind of thing. But I actually think it works. I think having borders and kind of parameters in that sense, it makes you think more, right? Because then everyone's just going to choose, like you're saying, this kind of broken assist or the most commonly used ones. And you're not going to see, I don't know, you're not going to see much variety. It's going to be the same thing. And the way it is now, people got to work around it and kind of deal with it. I kind of like that.
And I actually think it also assists with character balance. Because, like, think about it, right? Cell.
Mm-hmm.
You get to pick his assist, and he has the up forward beam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Once again, he just jumps another tier ahead of everyone else in the game.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's why I say yes, but within reason. I think Marvel 3 had a good system, or Marvel in general has a good system where they give you assists, like set assists.
Yep.
Because then they can kind of cherry pick those assists to assist once again with balance, which might be a good direction for Arxis to take it in the next season of the game, if you want to look at it like from a Street Fighter season point of view, after the World Tour is finished. But I don't know, man. Like how it is right now, I think the game's fine. Like I said, I think just the general damage nerf would be fine to Kid Buu and Cell. Mainly Cell. Cell's a bit fucked at the moment at this stage. Like the practicality of Touch of Death with him is too strong.
Yep. Yep. And like Sketch mentioned, probably touch on the cross-up protection of Super Dash, if at all.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think it's really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it'd be a very easy fix. But the only thing I'm with you, Sketch, but I'm also against you. And this is the reason why, right? Is because we're starting to see, the run forward, jump up forward, super dash mix-ups.
Mm-hmm.
I like that because it's an evolution of Yomi and meta, right, within the mix-up realm. But if you give them cross-up protection, that mix-up's no longer in the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I think, how do we fix the problem of super dash being an instant cross-up in some scenarios where it does like the full 360 without removing that from the game? I think maybe just changing the way it homes, maybe?
Yeah, it just seems like a wacky mechanic at times, because I'm sure you guys have seen it kind of just go all over the place sometimes, or it just shoots them like straight up. It just feels like almost a buggy mechanic at this point, and I don't know, maybe just some kind of fix with it. I don't know what can really be done. I just think having that kind of cross protection might do something, because it's just wacky.
I agree, man. Yeah, I agree. I agree that's when it does happen. Oh, that is some salt in your coffee.
Yeah, tell me about it.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, I'm sure we've all been victims of it. Just like on a more personal note, the DLC for this game has been pretty interesting. Like they've appealed to the fans. Like you've had Broly, which has been a fan favorite. I picked him up. Like more recently, you've had Zamasu and Vegito. Do you guys have any thoughts on those particular characters and like future characters you guys would like to see, like that might pry you off Ginyu or Gotenks?
Yep.
Go for
You want to
it,
start off, Sketch?
Max.
Alright.
You go for it.
I thought I was going to like Zamasu a whole lot, but I think he is the epitome of a bad direction that this game could go. And what I mean by that is that his neutral is fucking awful, right?
Mhm.
But if he ever makes you block something, he instantly is going to mix you up, and then he's just going to rinse and repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's potentially the wrong direction this game could go in the future. So I don't know. That could be. I think he's fine. Like I don't think the character's broken by any means. I just think his archetype of playstyle could be a problem in future. In terms of what DLC characters I want, the character that I would instantly play would be Hercule. Because that character is fucking sick.
I don't think you're gonna see that character, dude, man. Like, how's he gonna super dash? How's he gonna
Dude,
super
he's
dash?
gonna have a jetpack.
And I know that's a quick answer. It's just, will it look good? Come on.
Nah, alright. You know what my actual thought was? When the game first came out, I thought Hercule was going to be a DLC character, and I thought they were going to do this. Similar to how 18 and 17 worked together, I thought it was going to be Hercule and Videl.
Mm-hmm.
And Videl was going to transmission in and then super dash with him. Like, holding him, and would that not be sick? That would be fucking awesome, dude. He's like, Videl, and then she comes in. It'd be so sick.
Yeah.
So if Hercule gets put in, I'm in. 100.
I am not holding out hope for that character. But yeah. How about yourself, Sketch?
So as far as the DLC goes, I think Barhock's really good. I think he's really good. And I think he's cool. Like, if that were my type of character, I think, I'd probably pick him up. But I just think he's cool to watch. As far as characters I want in the game, so I realized that Gotenks and Ginyu are both kind of like posing characters. They like to kind of strike a pose. So a great Cyman showed up.
Oh, it does.
Like,
no. Oh,
having 3 pose characters.
No.
I wouldn't. It's not even a question. I would totally add it.
No.
You and Falco are too similar. Falco fucking. He is seasoned for it. He's frothy. Great Cyman. Right.
When he comes out.
You just reminded me, another character that I really want in the game, I have no idea why he's not, is Deborah.
Yes,
Would he not be a sick character to put in?
That's my number
Yeah,
one.
he's cool.
I am picking
Like him
up.
with the Z-Saber, like that would be sick, dude.
Yeah.
He would be such a cool addition.
Mm-hmm. And his like ability
I
to
have no
implement turning people to stone, that would be nice to see.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
man.
Mm.
Like a level 1 super that holds him in place and he has fucked up mix-ups. Sick character. Instantly would play him,
Yeah.
like 1000%. So this is my wish list. I want Hercule with Videl.
Mm-hmm.
I want Deborah, and then my Gotenks or Android 31 Anchor. That's my team. Oh, and Cell Junior. If they could put Cell Junior in, that'd be sick as well.
That actually would be really cool. Like, I'm actually very surprised. Like, he's not available even as a special move for Cell. But yeah, would be nice.
Yeah.
Would be nice to see him. Are you guys familiar with the series at all? Dragon Ball Super.
Not
really.
Okay, I'm just surprised to see
Why?
no call outs for like Jiren or whatnot.
Look, I'll be honest. Jiren looks like a fucking loser.
He looks like he's a peahead.
Yeah, he looks like a. Oh,
Yeah.
I was gonna say something much worse, but I don't want your stream to get banned. So I'm just gonna-
Much worse has been said by myself, so feel free. Yeah.
No, this what I was about to say, and I will tell you later. Okay, it's not allowed to be said on Twitch. So I'm just gonna take it back.
All right. After the stream. But no, I feel like Dragon Ball's the game. Everything about it is in like a real good direction. I mean, like, one thing. Well, like we haven't been hit with too many balance patches. Like they've addressed like a few issues here and there. Like the first balance patch really caught me off guard because like there was really nothing done to like the characters, most people were adamant were too good. Like we saw not barely.
Well,
apart
16
from
not hit.
16, yeah, apart from 16, he got
Thank God for that.
yeah.
You know what though? I think that patch. Sorry, Sketch. That patch for me, man. Like it actually hyped me up so much more. That balance patch, and the reason why was because there was two things they nerfed in the game, and there were the two things that gave guaranteed set play. And I think it's the smartest balance decision that a dev has made in a very long time for a fighting game. Where they go, look, this is set play that no other character gets in the game unless they spend level 3s. So we need to remove this to make it like a more balanced across the board style of set play. And I thought it was such a smart decision.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, their balance patches have been good so far. They haven't been too extravagant, apart from 16. But I don't think, apart from that, I still think the character's good. I doubt we'll see another patch before Evo. I hope to God not. Like, just for the sake of sanity of the players.
I doubt it, man. I don't think Arxis would do that. Yeah. I think Arxis is pretty good as a game dev. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure what they're going to do is they're going to hold out until end of World Tour to see what happens with the meta.
You reckon they'll wait that long?
Spice up. Yes, I really do think they will.
Yeah, I agree.
So that's all the way into next year. That'll be interesting. Very interesting. Like I'm not too familiar with Arxis Systems games. I don't know how often they patch their games, so to wait that long, yeah, that's techno levels of patching.
Look, tech is a whole new story.
Yeah.
Hey, what were you going to say, sorry, Sketch?
I think they release patches, I don't want to say frequently, but frequently enough. And I can only really remember one instance where it was like, there was something going, it was like right before a major tournament and then they patched it, but I don't think they're one to do that kind of thing or not.
I'm pretty sure they're pretty like involved with the FGC, so they're pretty considering when they make those type of decisions to release a balance patch. So I definitely don't think there's going to be one this side of Evo. My thoughts would be on the other side, so once the World Tour finishes, that's when we're going to see our first patch. Unless something game-breaking comes out, then they'll probably do a hotfix like they've been doing, which I think is really smart by them as well.
Yeah, they'll probably do Season 2 DLC around that time too, I reckon. At the end of the World Tour.
Yeah, I think so. I think World Tour Grand Finals will probably be like, here's Season 2, this is what you wanted. Hercule, Deborah, Sol Jr., and I'm just going to pop off so hard.
I'd love to see Roshi in there. Just that's like as a comic character.
Oh, Roshi would be sick.
He's my pick. I prefer Roshi.
So I feel like Dragon Ball characters would be a good addition, like Pilaf and stuff, and having like his crew.
Mm-hmm.
Or even, I'm gonna say it like, I don't think GT is as bad as everyone thinks it is. Like, I'm just gonna go and say it. I think adding a couple characters from there, like Super 16, throw him in there. Like Baby, throw him in there. Yo, let's go. Might as well.
Another character actually, but I think this would be just like a fucking lol character if you put him in.
Mm-hmm.
Bubbity. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, boys. We go on margin. That's it.
Wait. So what if Bobby D came out?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, sort of. What if Doubter came out, but it was only he was with Bobby D as kind of like a 17, 18 kind of thing?
Dude, I'd be all for it. Actually, you know what would be sick? If Deborah could sacrifice Bobby D like Tien does with Jiatsu.
Oh.
Just fucking pegs it at you.
You know what? I'm gonna put this out there. I'd love to see Chiaotzu as his own character. Just have like a small, really like. I know how that will play out in the meta with this game, having a character that small, but yeah, it would be.
Holy shit, dude! My mate just messaged me. Holy fuck, guys, we missed it. The best DLC character.
What?
Mr. Popo, but the racist.
That would be great.
That would be so good, dude.
That's my new number one.
No.
That's my new number one.
Oh, dude, Mr. Popo, that would be so good.
Oh, man.
Holy shit.
Yeah, dude, they have so much potential for characters. That's great. Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. If anything, just make him a lobby character at least.
Oh, please.
Like,
Oh,
just
that'd be
keep
good.
running
Yes, why
around
isn't
and-
he? Why isn't he? Oh, you just have a lobby full of Mr. Popos. That'd be the greatest thing ever.
And you know how, like, historically, like, through the game at the moment, color 11 is the white skin?
Yeah.
It's just like, it's just a whitewashed as fuck version of Mr. Popo. That would be awesome, dude.
Dude, this needs to be crowdfunded. Oh.
Fucking hell, that's sick.
Oh,
Oh,
man.
Mr. Popo. That is a
Yeah.
legendary character right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, those are all good. Those are all good.
What about you, Albie? Who would you like?
I covered it. Like as far as like my I'm sketch. I'm like sketching away. Like whenever it comes to fighting games, I never pick based off tiers. And in Dragon Balls, I have my favorite characters. My number 1 and 2, Piccolo and Vegeta. Granted, like I haven't got them to work for me gameplay wise. But you know they're there. And like Broly was number 3. If I was to pick one more, DLC we covered it. Deborah. I'd instantly pick him on my team.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I'm satisfied. And like
Yeah.
as far as my team, like I've had a few transitions. You know, beta wise, I started off with Cell and Kid Buu because Kid Buu is my favorite villain.
Yeah.
I did drop Cell, which you know some people might think is a stupid idea. But I'm just like, you know, when Broly came out, I didn't see the synergy with Cell, Broly, and Kid Buu. It's just like I was at that point where like, you know, I still need some synergy, and I kind of sacrificed Cell, picked up Goku, Broly, and Kid Buu. And then after BAM, I was just like, you know, the TO in me was just like, you know, do I really like? I just want to play this game for fun. I'm just at that point where I want to play more for fun than like actually high level competition. So like, who do I really want to play with? So I'm just like, right now I'm playing Vegeta Blue, Goku, and I tried Vegeta Blue, Piccolo, and Kid Buu. There's just like the synergies, like not that I put much time into it. It's just not there.
Yeah.
So I'm just,
Vegeta Blue is, as well as a character, is very difficult to make a team work. He's I don't know. I think both the Blues. This is excluding Vegeta because I think Vegeta is a very good character, but Blue Goku and Blue Vegeta, I just don't see them having synergy with anyone in the whole cast. Like,
really? Like anyone?
Characters, and they just do their own thing, man. Like, good for them, but they don't fucking do anything for a team.
The only person I've seen make the Blues work. I don't know how familiar. I'm sure you guys have seen him around. Fame 96.
Yeah, Fame. Yeah.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, like one of the earlier American majors, Winter Brawl. He came in the team tournament. He came second. I forget who his team member was, and he placed top 8.
Yep.
With Cell, Vegeta Blue, and Vegeta Goku. So like,
He's playing Broly now, I think.
I don't think so. I think he dropped him. I think his current team. I think he's more focused on Blaze Blue Cross Tag, but his current team for Dragon Ball is Cell, Goku, Vegeta Blue, and Vegito. So still rocking, still rocking the Goku, the Vegeta Blue. But yeah, I don't know how focused he is on Dragon Ball at the moment with Blaze Blue Tag out. So yeah, I know. Like I said, like I think we all can come to some agreement that like there's really no horrible character in this game. It's just, you know,
I don't know.
How much
Beerus is pretty shit.
Oh yes, we haven't touched up on that. Like, not to quickly but yeah, what do you think can be done about that character?
Which character?
Beerus.
Oh, Beerus?
Yeah.
I think the problem with Beerus is that he doesn't have a character yet that works with him.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Because I think how Beerus is played, I think you're supposed to have him second, you get a point hit, and then you as you do the super, like say the 2H,
Yep.
you super dash tag into Beerus and then use his pressure, like his Oki pressure,
Yep.
and that's how the optimal way to play him is.
Mm-hmm.
But there's not a character that really works well with him yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He's pretty garbage. He's pretty bad.
Okay. Worst character in the game by far.
I think he is. Yeah. I think Krillin is not that bad though. I think Krillin is pretty fucking good, to be honest. I think he's pretty cheap.
Mm-hmm. I just see no one playing apart from Pen Ninja.
Who, Krillin?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got a Krillin.
Oh,
If you want to rock some games later, just let me know.
Well, win a major with him, Baxter. Then I'll give you props for actually.
I mean, I won it with Yamcha.
Well, dude,
Look,
I'm in the camp that Yamcha was never horrible. I'm in that camp.
Yeah, no, he's definitely a good character. Yamcha is a good character.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
But yeah, just to go back to what I was saying, Vegeta Blue just. Like I like the character too much, man. Like he's just fun, and like granted, like you say, he might not have characters that work well with him, but like he's just fun, and like I'm just rocking him until my desire to compete is strong enough that I don't play him.
He definitely has the coolest level 1 super in the game.
Yeah.
Oh, where he brings it down? Yeah.
Punches, it's so fucking sick. That is too cool. The first time I saw that, I was like, this character is dope. Like, he is loving it.
Yeah. Like, that's another thing about the game. It definitely ticks the appeal for, like, just spectacle.
It is a beautiful fucking game.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Definitely,
I remember that was actually me and Falco. We first played it at Holy Gen last year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the demo. And the first thing we said was, "Holy shit, this game looks amazing!
Mm-hmm.
Like it looked flawless."
Dude, there are so many times where I'm playing the game, and I'm just smiling. I'm like, man, this game is just visually awesome. I just like how many times like over 1,000 times now. I've just done a regular level 1 super, and I'm just this is so beautiful.
It's a clean looking game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, every time I ever see Souls level 3, it fucking like, dude, that level 3, just like the boom, boom, boom. It's just so good.
Or just like even just like the voice lines, like whether it's in English or Japanese, just like little specific things, like when Goku is matched up against Frieza, and he's like, "It's over, Frieza!" When he that just gets me hyped, man.
I actually think the amount of attention to detail in the game is second to none.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's actually ridiculous.
It's insane how many callbacks there are to the anime, how many similarities there are. The dramatic finishes, holy shit, dude, they are just perfection. They have done such a sick game with the sick job with the game.
Dude, like even stuff I'm only recently noticing just because this like the other day I was playing a Kid Buu versus Vegito matchup, and like because it's down to personal preference. I have the language in Japanese, but like I had it in English just for like a couple of games, and you actually hear Vegito like go "not again" when he gets turned into candy. It's such a specific thing, and I'm like, oh my god, even this. Or like when Goku does level 3 when he has Gotenks in his team and he doesn't go Super Saiyan.
Yes, oh really?
Yes, I did not know that. And it's just, oh my god, this game.
Oh, one of the things that actually hyped me up so hard was like when I saw the Vegito announcement, I was like, I really hope Gotenks calls him Dads. And he literally does.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Gotenks on point. He says Dads. And
that's amazing.
I'm like, that alone, dude. Like, it's just so much attention to detail, so many little intricacies. It's just, yeah. Now all it needs is just a bit more dev support with the World Tour, and then I'm sure this game is gonna like fly into being a second esport title for the FGC.
How
alongside SF5.
How big do you think this game will pop off at EVO?
Oh, it's gonna be big.
I think it could go one of two ways.
Mm-hmm.
it could either go KOF 13, Evo 2013, I think it was, Evo 2014, with the Reynolds versus Heesung Woo. Right?
Yeah, that's one of the most memorable grand finals.
Yeah.
I'm not a KF player, but just as a fan of fighting games, I watch that and I'm like, I still go back every once in a while to this day and watch that particular match. It's so good.
I've done the exact same thing. I go back to it and I'm just like, dude, this game was so fucking awesome. There's so many little cool intricacies. And then Reynolds just made that massive comeback. It could go that way, or it could go the following Evo of KOF 13, where there was 6 of the 8 teams were all Flame Iori, Mr. Karate Kim. And it was the worst Evo, and it was so subpar. So it could go one of two ways, and I hope it goes the first way, but I think it's very likely it could go the second, where it's just Cell Bardock Vegeta, Cell Bardock Vegeta, Cell Kid Buu Vegeta, Cell Kid Buu 16 as the top 4, and everyone just cries.
You can only hope that doesn't happen, just because the game's amazing. Just the only thing that could save it in that regard is the player matchups and the stories.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I actually hope someone like Alio wins Evo with a super unique team because he plays Majin Buu. It will be so sick, dude.
Yeah. Just randomly, you guys don't have any. You guys aren't attending Evo this year, are you?
No, not this year.
Nah, not for me, man.
Yeah. No, interesting. Well, I'll be there. It'll be good to watch.
It sounds like it's I'll be there.
Yes.
I fully can't wait to be there. All right, I can't wait to be on the grand final day and someone picks Cell as their main and the whole crowd is just yelling. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, grand finals of Evo is always fucking sick. But yeah, the walking around all down concrete thing for me, it never gets old, man, and that's why I went to Evo 3 times, and I don't see myself going back unless I'm going back to make top 8, and I feel like I can.
That's fair. Yeah, no, that's fair. I think you go to Evo once to enjoy the spectacle. Maybe another time, this would be my third, and I'm not gonna say it's been my last, but I might take a break afterwards. But yeah, Evo's not that you get sick of it, but I've been 3 times in the past 3 years. So
nah, you do get sick of it. That is a good thing. Because it's just this is how Saturday goes, right? Saturday or Friday now, because it's getting so big, right?
Yeah.
It's you get in there and you're like, fuck yeah, Evo, I'm going to go in, I'm going to kill everyone in my pool, I'm going to advance to the next pool, I'm going to kill all them. And then you drown in your first pool. And then you're like, well, it's not even midday, and I'm just going to walk around the venue, I guess. And then it gets to 2 p.m., and your knees are killing you. There's nowhere to sit down.
Yeah.
You go outside onto the little carpet area with your little hot dogs that you bought. You know what I mean? You know the feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. For $15, you're like, what has my life come to?
And then you leave the venue and don't go back the rest of the day.
Yeah, you go back to your hotel room and watch it on the stream. Exactly what you do. Legit.
See, I'm lucky because the times I've been with a decent amount of people, so that always helps.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big part of going to tournaments in general, I'd say. It's just going for the people, right? It's not necessarily about the venue or about the tournament. It's just hanging with the homies.
Yeah.
Actually, that is true, because that's exactly what I did last Evo. You just reminded me. I just hung out with all of you Tekken dudes and watched you guys play. Because I'm like, well, I'm out of my games. It's midday. I'll go see what the Tekken dudes are doing. And all you guys are doing well, being fucking nerds. Oh, look at me. I don't throw them pools.
Yeah, that's I don't go to OHN anymore to play fighting games. I just go to hang and eat. Yeah. All right, guys. We're at the tail end of the podcast, so it's kind of the segment of the podcast where I like to ask a few questions for our guests. So nothing too crazy, just basically a reflection on like pretty much your FGC career or whatever's been happening in the games you've been playing. This one's for both of you. You can both answer. If there was a summoner power in Australia, who would you guys like to see on it?
Sketch.
Oh, you flatter me.
You can nominate yourself.
100% Sketch. Are you serious? I would definitely have Sketch. You know why? Because I would instantly kill this motherfucker in my face. If I go, you would be dead so quick, Sketch. I'd be like, pop off of me now, bitch. Oh.
Yeah, I never played that game, and like it looks so much fun. Like it's something that has to be done at the next major.
For sure, I would love to do it, dude. There's like 30 or so people.
100%.
That game is mad fun.
100%. Count me in.
No, but you go first, Sketch, for the summit.
All right, summit.
Yeah,
so
you don't have to name a full amount of people. Like I don't know how many people were there, maybe 8 or so. But like, yeah, just who you'd like to see in it. Just a few names.
All right, I'll say Baxter. I'll say Falco. I'll say Salty Pete because that guy gets very salty, and I would love to make him very salty.
Fuck yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So wait, sorry to say, the name Salty Pete, it's got some merit behind it. He's actually a salty player.
I mean, apparently, like so I'll run into him online and stream. So like I'll play my matches and then I'll go watch, and if I win, like I can taste it all the way from here. I mean, Perth is a long way away. Salt travels pretty quick.
Yeah.
I think I made him drop Zamasu because I slapped him so bad.
Oh, you're the best, Sketch. Yeah.
That's hilarious because I remember him being emphatic about picking that character up once it dropped.
Well, his name on PS4 is Bez Zamasu Australia. So I mean, I guess you're the best when you're the only one playing him, right?
Well, not anymore, Sketch. Not
even that. Poor dude.
No, man, I'm not saying he's bad. I mean, look, he talked some shit a while back, right? Because I was playing him, and I would beat him with Ginyu, and he would come through with the, Sketch is not really that good. He's just gimmicks, right? So, hey, look, I mean, he could talk all his shit, but, you know, I slapped his Zamasu, so. Wow. No more for that character.
Damn.
Someone calling you gimmicks when they play Bardock, you got told, my boy.
Holy shit.
I think Bardock carries him. I think in all his teams, Bardock carries him.
You're just speaking what I'm thinking.
It's true, man. It's true. But also, I'll money match him. I'll call him out. Anytime.
Oh, wow. Dude.
I will body his shit.
He's streaming now, man. We can just...
word?
We can just pop in later.
I'll hop on, I'll slap around one of his characters, and I'll make him drop the entire cast one by one.
Oh, wow. No.
It's easy
by the end of the night, he's going to be playing Team Fenris, Team fucking Goichi.
Okay. Well, that settles it. For me, personally, I love to see Sketch and Salty Pete on a summer just for the drama.
I would.
Just for the drama.
For sure. Alright. Were you done, Sketch? Or do you have more people to add?
Who else? I'm trying to think. I mean, as far as... I would definitely, yeah. I get Blackout too, man. I like that guy. He got the goods. Like, he's very good in many games, so I see him there for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I think the other people I'd put in would be, I'd like to put Ando in as well, from Queensland. Zed from Victoria.
Yeah, Zed's been doing a lot better recently.
Yeah, I think he would do really well.
Apart
from that, maybe. Oh, Dialo, of course. Yeah, fuck. Let's go to that Dialo. I think that's pretty much everyone I'd put in.
Are there any online players that you'd put on? Because there's actually a lot of prominent online players that you don't see offline.
Raptor, that dude, I would definitely put him in. Raptor, I think, is very strong. I don't know who he is though, because
Hmm.
I was trying to find out who he was to try and tell
Yeah,
him about
this
them.
game,
See if
like,
he was,
for all its merits and amazing showcases, my one complaint with it is that, like, the inability to be able to communicate with people properly.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yes, for sure.
Yeah, like if you had that.
There's a what is he? I think he's 18 cell Goku player.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you run into that guy online. He's actually quite decent. His synergy works. I forgot his name, but I forgot. Totally forgot. Because I feel like I played him and he's changed his name. No, I've seen that guy. That guy has the hit avatar. I always see him mucking around, but
Mm-hmm.
no, it was some other guy.
You play on PlayStation, yeah?
Oh, PS4. Yeah. There's a guy.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I've been meaning to play on PlayStation more as of late, actually, because I play on Steam, right, and then I'll normally try and play at Falco and see if the connection's good enough to play him online, and then when I play ranked, I can't really find people anymore. You just get to a certain rank and all of a sudden there's no one there anymore.
Really?
What can you do?
This guy. I don't know if he's boasting or actually complaining, because, like, I never have a problem finding people in there.
I cannot find someone. It's someone.
The humble
I
brag.
cannot find anyone. It pisses me off, so I just get back to the training room. But yeah, I wouldn't add anyone else. I think I'm pretty aligned with you, Sketch. I just add those people in.
Okay, interesting. All right, you guys have, like, as far as FGC personalities, like, the ones that are near and dear to my heart are the ones that aren't afraid to pop off. So much of love to you. I'd like a few, like, most memorable pop off from both of you.
Damn, Sketch is like, let me look at the textbooks I've got, right? Because I've got a few going down through the years. I guess I'll give you time to think, Sketch.
Go for it.
I've got two.
Mm-hmm.
One, and there's different reasons, right?
Yep.
So, first one was the DBZ pop off against Ilo.
Yep.
And the reason why is because I think in that set was the best I've ever adapted before in any set of any fighting game. So I popped off, and it was purely the fact that I was like, holy shit, I played like to the level that I wanted to play at. So I popped off because I was very happy with myself. And the second pop off was when I beat Foxy in the money match at OHN 2013. For about $4,500 or something.
Holy shit!
The reason why it stuck out to me was because the whole reason it started was because I started beating everyone in Queensland at Marvel 3, right? And I was like, got to the point where no one could beat me anymore.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure if it was just because I'd figured everyone out in Queensland, or if I was actually good. So I challenged Foxy to a money match out of the blue to be my breakout moment within the scene, and I managed to win 10-7. And I just remember popping off so hard that it lasted 24 hours. People tell me, Baxter, you got so drunk you would not stop popping off, and I'm like, I'm sorry guys.
That's amazing. No, that's great. Yeah. That's great. You have any memorable one, Sketch, or are there too many to name?
Okay, so the most recent two, I'd say, were the ones over the weekend. Just because, the losers run, I lost in winners first round, and I was not happy about that. I was really not happy.
Oh, what? Who'd you lose to?
I lost to the guy Reap Your Face, the guy who got third.
Yeah, I saw that, and just I knew that wasn't you, man. Yeah. It
was a combination. I had nerves, and he was doing hit boost stuff with the Yamcha assist, and I was not ready for it, so I got hit a lot. So I kind of deserved it, to be honest. But then I had to make my run back. I had to be burned out, unfortunately, the next round. But then I played Tosh the round after, and fuck, man, because he beat me at BAM and at Gardenite. So I was like, I'm not having this anymore. So fucking that pop off was from the heart.
Nice.
So yeah, just that weekend in general was good. I think teams at BAM for DBZ, I had a couple of pop offs that I was quite proud of. So that was good. But then I think my most memorable pop off was when I was back in New York last. It was like last November, December. It was a Vampire Savior tournament, and when I came back, all my friends were like, "Oh, okay, you're Australian now. You're not New York anymore, right?" So it was very much. They were doing the USA chants and shit when I would like lose a round, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I came back and I won. I won the tournament. And fuck, my pop offs were hard as hell. And that was also like straight from the heart. I was like, yo, you know what? You're fucking right. I'm Australian. I'm gonna rip that shit hard. So
Nice.
that was probably my most shining pop off moment.
See.
Please tell me you called them all a bunch of cunts.
Yeah. I didn't call them sick cunts. I just called them a bunch of cunts.
Fuck yes, that's sick. That's what I love, because I know how much Americans hate the word, so I'm just like, please, just tell me it's popped off. You're just like, you know what? You're all a cunt.
Was that tournament? Sorry, I missed it. Or exhibition?
No, it was a tournament.
Yeah. You bring it up. I don't think I like as hype as I can be, like cheering or spectating. But I don't think I've ever popped off in a. I'm pretty hyperactive when I play. Like anyone who knows me knows like I might jump out of my chair but I don't think I've really ever popped off on anyone during a tournament. It's always been like an exhibition match or like a money match or something like that, or maybe in casuals.
Have you ever had proper beef with someone?
Proper beef?
Yeah.
Nah. See, like not proper beef. Like I'll like Tekken scene has. Well, Melbourne-wise, no, I've never had a beef with anyone, no one interstate, but I'm really competitive. Like, whenever I'm going interstate, I will, like, okay, who am I money matching this time? I'm like money matches, like, I've got, like, 5, 6, I'm always money match. I wouldn't say I've had proper beef with anyone, but, like, there are some guys in the Melbourne-wise I've popped off on just because, I don't know how well you would know these guys, like B-Boy Phoenix, Jono,
Yeah.
Like we've had an ongoing rivalry since like Tekken 5 and like
yeah, but I already know John is your boy.
Yeah. But we would just talk the most vile shit to each other. like anyone who doesn't know us would think we would hate each other. Like there was this like little exhibition match that it kind of like just to I don't want to go too deep into it, but what happened was like we arranged this money match, and I swear to God, it went from just being this low-key Melbourne money match to being broadcasted on like a Tekken website, and it just got massive publicity. And
nice.
we just talked talked the shit out of each other. We went full on UFC style. We did weigh-ins, and we put a hell of a lot of money on the line.
Weigh-ins and everything?
Yeah. It was glorious. It was glorious.
That's legit.
Yeah. But yeah, I've never had beef with anyone. Like,
but once again, just let me plug this again. I'll be okay. Never pop off on me, please. Okay, that is banned.
And I'm gonna reiterate: if I beat you in a tournament that's worth mattering, I will pop off so your children feel it.
Yes. Oh yes. That's what I want to see more of.
Just cause.
Like, I'm okay with Sketch popping off of me, you know, like, we'll both laugh about it, later on we'll argue, we'll be fine. But you popping off, I'm just instantly on the ground, you know. It's like what they tell you when you see a bear in the woods, you know, you just go fetal position and you just play dead. That's my
reaction. Just warning for those who are around me when I'm playing. Just don't stand too close to me. I have elbowed a few people on accident just from just nervous jumping. And
yeah. I always see you on the side when you watch you take it and you just start jumping up and down. I'm like, it's about to go. It's about to go.
But yeah. So I think we covered most of everything we wanted to. Usually I give like room for announcements. Like we haven't got much in the way of happening Australia wise, other than like I don't know how much is happening in Queensland, Baxter. The
A whole lot of friend.
But as far as moment goes, well, we just got our usual roundabouts. We might have a few things happening, but I guess as far as Dragon Balls, all we have to look forward to is like OHN, the World Tour, whenever that's happening for the Australian segment. Anything else you guys are looking forward to on your radar that you guys?
Yeah, so New Zealand Nationals in October, early October, because I know a couple of guys here are keen on going, and I really want to get a group going, because I think it would be sick to go and represent. And look, this timeline, right? Imagine Australia comes and takes New Zealand's Nationals. Like, I want this beef to start. I want this feud. Like, fuck, let's get something going.
Yeah.
There won't be beef, because when it's this free sketch, trust me, if I go down there, you really think I'm gonna have a problem? Let's be honest.
That's exactly what I want. I want you to go over. I want you to win that shit and all that nonsense. Talk it all, and you gotta ignite that flame, right? Because look, that's what separates us from everyone who doesn't play fighting games, right? You get your ass kicked, and what do? We keep playing. Most people will fuck off, right? Nah, they get their ass beat, and you talk shit. They're gonna come hard. They're gonna come at your throat, and I want to see that shit.
Whoa. Whoa! I don't know about that live. I don't want that.
Dude, my boy Sketch is straight up savage, like right up the alley. I love that.
That's how you do it, man. You gotta
we're friends and all, Sketch today. You drink it too, at least. Let's just say, let me get back to you on the New Zealand trip.
Yeah, I'm keen. I'm keen. Like I did make a kind of. I don't want to say promises, but I did have New Zealand majors on my radar sometime the end of the year. I know a few Tekken boys are keen to going down. I wouldn't mind going for Tekken and Dragon Balls, and just to hype the shit out of the Aussie support. So
they got Zazob and Cornova, right? Which are two really strong Tekken players.
Yeah, they're even more. Like Tekken, New Zealand, like it came out in force for Tekken for BAM, so they're not to be slept on at all. Yeah,
damn. I'm
keen.
You get your ass down there, I'll be showing what's what. But what I was gonna say is I've got some stuff happening this week, so I will be talking to you later on about.
Anything you can announce?
About New Zealand. Nothing at this point in time. Okay. Keep your eyes open on the Twitter.
No worries.
You'll be seeing some tweets from myself.
All right, pay attention to Baxter's Twitter, y'all.
Shameless plug.
I've got it there. Like just yeah. But give us your tweets just to end this, and where can people catch you at, Baxter?
So you can find me on Twitter, ham_Baxter.
Yeah.
You can also find me on my Twitch channel, which is the exact same thing. So it's just ham_Baxter. So if you guys ever want to catch my stream, not that I stream very often, but generally when I do, I'll announce it on my Twitter, and you'll be able to catch my footage there. So.
No worries. Sketch, where can people catch you at?
My Twitter is SketchJP.
Yep.
So go have a look there and see my shitty tweets.
No worries. All right, guys. This podcast has been great. Thank you for dealing with the ghetto-ness of it all. Like, I'm sure at one point, once it's been, like, I've been through the ringer, it'll be a little bit more professional. But until then, you got to deal with what I give you. So, but I really appreciate you guys coming down. Really appreciate it. Hopefully, jump on.
It was great fun. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having me, man.
All right, guys. No worries. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on another episode of.
Just before you end it, sorry.
All right, what's up?
Just before you end it, okay, Sketch, can you please do the sign off? Please, the pop off. Can you please do it for me?
What, you mean I'm fucking nice? I'm fucking nice. You always best believe I am fucking nice at the end of the day.
It never gets old, dude.
There you have it, guys. Mr. I am fucking nice himself. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning into the Beastcast. It's been great. We'll catch you on another episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you, Baxter. Thank you, Sketch. Much appreciated.
Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
Laters. Catch you later.